Okay, my name is Chris and I'll be talking about myofascial lines. So I'll start with the superficial back line, which starts in the bottom of the toes and it runs underneath the bottom of the foot and goes to the Achilles tendons, which it runs up and then it splits into the medial and lateral gastrocnemius, which is also known as the calf muscles. Okay, then this wraps around the calf and it connects to the distal part of the femur. And then this connects to the hamstrings, which then connect to the ischial tuberosity. The ischial tuberosity then goes up through the sacrotuberous ligaments, which runs to the top of the pelvis. And then from the top of the pelvis, we're going up through the paraspinal muscles, which then go all the way up through little neck muscles and connect to the occiput, which then connects to the top of the scalp, which runs all the way to the top of his eyebrows, which are the supraorbital ridge. And this is a display of the superficial backline. Okay, for posture, it keeps the body in an upright position in the sagittal plane and it balances against the superficial front. Weakness in the SBL can result in a curve in the thoracic spine, and tight SBL can increase lumbar lorosis, which is a curve in the lower back from an anterior pelvic tilt. To correct and stretch the SBL and strengthen it is from a downward dog. Okay, so now we're on to superficial front line, which starts at the scalp fascia and it goes to the sternocleidomastoid, which is the side of the neck, and then it goes to the sternalis, which is right by the sternum here, and then it goes down to the rectus abdominis, and then to the rectus femoris, and then to the subpatellar tendon, and then this goes down to the short and long extensors of the This is a display of the superficial front line. The movement functions would be movements in the sagittal plane, such as flexion of the trunk and hips, and extension of the knee and dorsiflexion of the foot, and then also flexion of the neck, cervical spine. Okay. If the SFL malfunction, it creates forward movement or flexion and restricts backward flexion. For posture, if the muscles are too tight, it can create a forward head posture, and restriction of the diaphragm from the anterior ribs, and it can also create an anterior pelvic tilt, and it can limit the range of motion in the ankle flexion. And to stretch this would be a cobra pose, which looks like this. Okay, now we're into the lateral line, which is the peroneal muscles of which is the side of the calf, and then the ITB, which then goes to the TFL, which goes to the glutes, and this goes up to the external and internal and deep QL. Well, the external and internal obliques and the deep QL, and then internal and external intercostals, which are between the ribs, and then it goes up into the neck muscles, which are the splenius cervis, the ilicostalis cervis, SEM, and the scalene. Okay. This is a display of the lateral line. So the movement functions would be lateral flexion of the trunk, abduction of the hip, and eversion of the foot. And then it helps posture by keeping balance from left to right. And to stretch this would be this. And then to build it, or progression, would be a side plank, which looks like this. Okay, now we're on the spiral line, which is the splenius captius, which is at the side of the neck, and then it goes to the rhomboids, which are right here, and and then it goes to the serratus anterior, which is, oh no, that's right over here. And then it goes to the external and internal obliques and the TFL, which is right here. And then it goes to the ITB, which is the side of the knee, and then the anterior tibialis, and then it goes to the peroneus longus, which is the side of the calf, and then to bicep femoris, which is, and then sacrotuberous, which the ligament, which is part of the pelvis, and then the sacral fascia and the erector spinae, which is over here. This is the display of the spiral line. For movement functions, it's meant for spirals and rotations of the body, and it isometrically steadies the trunk and legs from folding into rotational collapse, which would just be totally falling down. And then a stretch would be a single leg revolved belly pose. And this would be to stretch it. And what is unique about this is that the functional lines are not like for standing posture or for keeping posture while you're standing. It's meant for mostly when you're moving and rotating, like which athletes do a lot of the time, and in many sports. Their main job is to bring one arm across to the opposite hip, which is transferring energy. An example of this would be throwing a ball or hitting a tennis ball. So its main job is to transfer energy to the limb. So the back functional line, it's from the shaft of the humerus to the latimus dorsi, and then to the lumborsal fascia, and then to the sacral fascia, to the sacrum, to gluteus maximum, and then to the shaft of the femur, and then to the vastus lateralis, and to the patella, and then to the subpatellar tendon, and then to the tuberosity of tibia, which is right here. Okay, so for the front functional line, it's from the shaft of the humerus to latimus dorsi, which is back here, and then it goes to the lumbodorsal fascia, and then it goes to the sacral fascia and to the sacrum and to gluteus maximus, and then it goes to the shaft of the femur to the vagus lateralis and the patella, and then it goes to the subpatellar. Okay, hold on. All right, sorry for my mistake there. It starts from the shaft of the humerus, and then it goes to the lower edge of the pectoris major, which is right here, into the 5th and 6th ribs, and then it goes to the lateral sheath of rectus abdominis, and then it goes to the pubic tuberculum symphysis and to the adductor longus, and then it goes down to the linea and aspects of the femur, which is around here.